just trying to remember off the top of my head now. I'll get the book. Okay, that's the book there. So I'll just go through it. So some of the artists is Roxy Music. Yes, Disturb. I've interviewed the band 3 times. Absolutely great guys.
All right, guys, we have a real special treat for you guys tonight. Coming to you all the way from the land down under in Australia, my friend Joe Matera. How are you, Joe?
Hey, how are you, Fuzz? It's a pleasure to talk to you.
It's great to see you, man. This is special for me, man. You kind of sought me out, and I was kind of humbled by that, but I kind of dig your stuff a lot, so I figured let's get you on the show and get talking about you. So, welcome to the show. I appreciate you taking the time to come hang out.
It's a pleasure. I really enjoy your show, mate. I caught it. I watched your Fuel interview. I really loved it. Being a fan of the band, and I checked out your other stuff and I thought, wow, you're very cool. I love the show that you do. So it's a pleasure. I
appreciate that, man. So, musician, songwriter, author. What else do you do, man?
Whatever else I can fit in my day. But yeah, basically it's music, mate. Music all through, whether it's writing, recording, performing. Music is my calling. It's my life, really.
Excellent. So let's start off first, because you are literally half the world away from me. Through this whole pandemic thing, how did you make out with that? Has it been tough on you? I mean, obviously going out and gigging, it's tough to do that with some of the lockdowns we had and stuff like that. But how's that been for you? You didn't catch this thing, did you?
No, thank God so far. But with the pandemic, what it's done is, before the pandemic hit, I was touring Europe every year. I was doing a lot of shows, and as soon as that hit and the lockdowns happened and the borders closed, it all shut down. So basically, I couldn't do anything. So I decided to sort of fall back onto my writing career, which is in the past been a music journalism. So that's really sort of helped me get through it all. In regards to keeping the income coming in, but also it opened up new doors for me in regards to collaborations, and working with other musicians around the world. So that's been a whole new sort of journey for me. But I've always I've got my own recording studio, so I've always been able to record stuff here and fly it off to other parts of the world. So all it did was just open up even more avenues in that area. So I've been lucky in that sense, in still being able to do my music, but I do miss the touring, I do miss the shows, and it's been 2 years, and I've only, in that 2-year period, I've only done one show. And so hopefully as we move forward, the shows start to happen. But at the moment it's just I'm keeping busy, and that's the main thing.
Stocking up on those, right? You've probably writing a lot, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I spent the period also writing my first book, which is called Backstage Pass, and that got released a couple months ago. And that's just about all my sort of memories and memoirs of interviewing some of the big names in rock and metal, and also my own tours, what it's like to be on tour, give people a bit of an insight to life as a touring musician, and what it's like for people like, say, Steve Vai or Metallica, sort of go backstage and sort of see what's the real deal, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like you said, that's called Backstage Pass, the grit and the glamour, available on Amazon. So guys, make sure you guys are searching that, check it out. Looks like a really good book. My copy is on the way, just so you know. But let's talk about your music. Your latest release is Inside Looking Out, is the name of the song. Now, is single, or is that off of one of your albums?
That's a single. In the last couple of years, I've released mostly singles. I will eventually release an album, but at the moment, the best way is sort of just release singles digitally. Now, this track in particular, Inside Looking Out, it does feature a very special guest, Don Powell, the drummer from legendary band Slade. So I've known Don for a few years. We sort of got hooked up when I went off to Sweden for a tour a few years ago, and my promoter sort of hooked us up together, and we sort of kept in touch. And when the pandemic happened and that sort of stuff, we sort of just emailed each other. And then I was working on this song, and I said to Don, look, I'm doing this song. Would you like to play drums? He goes, I'd love to. So he recorded his parts in Denmark, and I recorded my parts in Australia. And I got my friend, my bass player, who lives in Stockholm, to at his base, and then got my co-producer Thomas Skogsberg, who's well known probably to a lot of Americans there for being the godfather of Swedish death metal. He's done bands like Entombed and Backyard Babies. So he's a great producer, and yeah, so he does a lot of my work with me. I actually went off to his recording studio a few years ago and recorded some tracks there. So yeah, and what you hear is my sort of style of music, which is sort of a hard rock sort of guitar, but with a lot of pop melodies and just catchy tunes, really.
It's definitely catchy. We were talking about it. It has like when I first put it on, it has like got like a definitely the rock thing, but it's got like a Tom Petty vibe to it, which it kind of peaked because I'm a big Tom Petty fan as it is, but yeah, it just has that kind of that hook that was kind of like, all right, and it made me want to go search more stuff out for you, which is really good. And you can find some of Joe's stuff. It's on YouTube, youtube.com/Joe Matera, Matera. If you guys are interested, go look at that. Now, is this stuff available for digital purchase?
Yes, digital purchase. It's available on Spotify, on iTunes, all Amazon, the whole lot. So, but yeah, I mean, the last couple of years, it's been sort of really tough in regards to sort of selling CDs. I mean, all musicians have sort of suffered for the same thing, postal charges. So that's why it's a lot of musicians are sort of releasing stuff on digital, and that is the way of the future. So yeah, but it's available anywhere. And look, another thing too, with all my releases and with all my music, and I'm very much on social media, so I'm very accessible to fans and people to sort of stay in contact, because I always believe that at the end of the day, it's your supporters, your fans that keep you able to do what you do. So and that's important for me to sort of stay in touch with that audience of mine.
100%, yeah. So let's talk about your songwriting process. I'm always curious about this. I think I ask this question just about every interview because I don't write music at all. I'm more along the lines of asking other people how they do it, but how does it come about? Like, take me through like how you come about getting an idea for a song and kind of how it works its way through the whole process.
Well, most times my musical ideas come to me first, and what I'm doing is I'll just grab my guitar. It's always in my studio, and I'll just sort of noodle away, and some idea will come to me, and musical ideas come to me pretty quickly. Like, I've got hundreds and hundreds of sort of little short pieces here and there, and so the music comes to me first. The lyrics is a lot harder. Sometimes, I've been quite lucky in a couple of songs in the past where the lyrics have sort of come to me. Fallen Angel, one of my early tracks, the whole song, music, words came to me within about 15 minutes. Now, that's really rare.
Wow.
But most songs, do take months and months of sort of writing the lyrics. My wife has co-written a couple of songs with me lyrically. So, but musically, yeah, I come up with melodies and chord progressions and solos, and then it's just a matter of putting it all together and see where it takes me. I'll make demos. A lot of my times, for example, Inside Looking Out, when I sent the demo to Don, it was basically all fully formed there, and all Don did was basically added in his own drum parts to what he wanted, what he felt was right, and he sent it back to me, and it was exactly what I needed. So I think that's another thing how I work is my demos are pretty much my ideas are formed, and another musician will listen to it and they go, okay, I know what this song needs. So but yeah, music comes to me pretty easy, and that's the first thing.
At me, where I go, it's you I see. Pictures in a magazine.
Do you ever have any songs where you send them out to people and when they come back, it's not quite what you heard in your head, or?
Look, I've been quite lucky in the sense that I work with some really great musicians and some great artists, and who sort of we're already sort of on the same page. And look, it hasn't happened to me yet. You know, most times I've had they send me back something. They usually might send me, say, 2 versions, and you know what? Usually it's the first version they send me that is spot on.
Awesome. Now, do you play any other instruments besides guitar, or?
I play a bit of sort of keyboards. I do all the keyboards on my own tracks, but mostly guitar and vocals is my main instrument of choice.
Okay, cool. Now let's talk about some of the other stuff you have out. 2014 was the album Terra Firma.
Mm-hmm.
Louder Than Words was in 2015, and then now in 2020 you released Electric Wire, which is all instrumental, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right. Yep, that's correct. Yeah, a lot of instrumental. My instrumental music is basically, apart from my vocal stuff, especially in my early stuff, I started in instrumental music, you know, and it's probably a cross between Joe Satriani meets Gary Moore meets Hank Marvin, you know. So it's not shredding stuff, but it's much more stuff that you could. It's more about the song. So when you listen to the guitar parts, it's playing a melody, and it's, you know, it's obviously going off to do some solos. It's pretty rocky stuff, you know, and yeah, so that Electric Wire sort of really captures that whole vibe, which is electric guitars, drums and bass, you know, and just, you know, enjoying music that you can sort of, you know, if you love AC/DC, I suppose, and if you love that sort of music, you sort of pump it up and you can just, you know, headbang to it, really.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So let's do this. Let's check out one of your videos.
Yep.
We're going to play the new one that just came out fairly recently. We're going to look at Inside Looking Out. I always try to say outside looking in, but it's the other way around. Inside Looking Out, and then we'll be right back with Joe Matera.
Inside looking out.
All right, we're back with Joe Matera. Joe, that was Inside Looking Out, and we're going to play a couple more of your songs as the interview progresses. But I want to get into talking about this book because the book really intrigues me because it's like right up my alley. It is called Backstage Pass, The Grit and the Glamour. I want to make sure I get that right. It's available on Amazon, guys. You can check it out. Just search for that title or search for Joe Matera, and you will find that on Amazon. Buy 2 copies, Joe. Appreciate that for sure. So now, when did you start writing this? It looks. I don't get any percentage of that, so you guys know. When did you start writing the book?
Well, first of all, in everything I've ever done in my music journalism, in my touring, and meeting artists, I've always kept detailed diaries going way back to the 90s. So when the pandemic hit, I had time on my hands. I thought, what, I might start writing this, some ideas down. I started putting together a few little stories, and it came together really well. And I thought, well, this is really, I like this. So I put it out to a couple of publishers, and one publisher in the UK loved the idea, and he said, look, if you want to write this book, we'll publish it for you. So that sort of got me to sort of sit down and finish the book. So I ended up writing over the whole period. It took me about 18 months to write, and I basically went through all my diaries and wrote out a lot of the stories, and obviously that brought back other memories of things that sort of happened, and I started writing it up. And the idea of the book is to sort of show people what it's like, like meeting, for example, Metallica. I've been on the road with like Joe Satriani, played for Steve Harley guitar. So I wanted to show people what it's like to be on the road with musicians like this, as well as myself. And not, there's more to it than just what they see on the outside, which is all this glamour of limousines and parties. It's actually much more than that. And most of the time, it's not even that. It's just hard work. It's a lot of 23 hours of basically sleeping, eating, trying to get to the next gig for that 1 hour on stage where you're with the audience. And that's what's called the grit and the glamour. It's pretty much hard work. Only really those who are tough and who can put up the road usually survive it, which is why a lot of bands, over time you hear they sort of implode while they're on the road because it's really hard, So, but the joy of it is that music, being able to sort of connect. And look, there's stories there from, as I mentioned, Metallica, Steve Vai, Fuel, meeting the guys, Fuel. What else? Just trying to remember off the top of my head now. I'll get the book. Okay, that's the book there, so I'll just go through it. So some of the artists is Roxy Music, yes, Disturb. I've interviewed the band 3 times. Absolutely great guys. Judas Priest. Look, and most of it, like, if you're looking for sex, drugs, and rock and roll, you're not going to find it. There'll be some little stories like that, especially my story with Lemmy from Motorhead and the guys from Hitler, which is quite hilarious. I'm sure that chapter, Fuzz, will have you in stitches because some of the stuff they tell me, which I can't actually say on camera, you'll read the book, is really hilarious.
Yeah. So then what got you into journalism? Was that kind of a thing you've always wanted to do, or?
It's something I fell into in the 90s. Like I was one of the first to sort of hook up to the internet, and I used to sort of just go online and sort of read some early interviews of artists. And I remembered seeing some little emails on their websites. I thought, it's interesting. You can actually contact some artists. So I contacted a couple of early ones, and they responded. And I thought, oh wow, I want to ask them a few questions about my favourite song of theirs. And I thought, there's no way they're going to answer this. And they actually did. And then in the end, I thought, you know what, maybe I'll do an interview with a couple of these. And I did. And then I thought, oh, well, who wants to read this interview? So I gave it out to a couple of early, online magazines, and they ran it. And then in the end, I thought, well, this is, really good. People enjoying these interviews. And from that, it just led me on to the career that I had writing for magazines. Like, now I write for like Guitar World and Goldmine in the US, and I've written for Classic Rock and Metal Hammer and Kerrang. So I've done all the big name guys over the years.
Mm-hmm. So I know this is like asking you to name your favorite child, but do you have a favorite interview that you've done with anybody, or?
Yeah, look, I would say, look, Lemmy was one of my favourites. Obviously, Lemmy was a true gentleman, a real rock star, one of the nicest guys you could ever meet. And
Mhm.
I can't say, anything else more, but just a terrific guy. But look, probably one of the highlights of my career is meeting Sir George Martin, the most famous fifth Beatle.
Wow.
And he actually chose me out of there was, I think, it was about 100 journalists who had their names down for interviews, and he chose handpicked 20, and I was one of the 20.
No kidding.
And to actually sit down with a legend as Sir George Martin, and just to talk about the Beatles and Jeff Beck and all the people he's worked with was just incredible. And I actually got to spend half an hour with him, had a cup of tea, got to meet Lady Martin, and just absolutely fantastic period. One of my highlights and one of my definitely favorite moments.
That's awesome, man. Now, are there any stories that you left out of your journals to protect the innocent, as it was, or maybe to protect the guilty?
There's a couple of stories in there which I sort of had to sort of clean up a bit in regards to what actually happened, but you still get the idea with it without mentioning any names. But look, most of that stuff is it's been left out of the book. I mean, I have got enough material for another 2 more books, and the publishers told me they are interested in another book, so it's going to happen down the track. But at the moment, obviously, with my new book, it's all about what's in my new book.
Sure, yeah, that's cool. So, tell me about when you were on the road. Do you have anything that kind of stands out as a favorite memory? Other than, I mean, that the Fifth Beatle one is definitely an amazing one. Do you have any more that kind of stand out in your head that were like your favorite times on there, or?
Look, I'm trying to think now. Look, being with Joe Satriani was really interesting because I got to see him sort of, in his space, like he's rehearsing and what was going through his mind, and watching him do sound check, and then after the show, that was quite an experience. As for playing, I did a tour myself of Europe in 2014, and I did 7 countries, 16 shows in 21 days, and that tour was pretty heavy for me. I mean, there's a lot of countries, a lot of traveling on trains and planes, and when I got back, I had lost 5 kilos. That's how hard it was,
Wow.
But it was a great time, going to places like Poland and Germany and the Netherlands and the Czech Republic. Some of these places where like they still have sort of this pre-World War II vibe, where it was sort of they still need to catch up with modern day technology.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, Poland, for example, just felt like I was back in 1940s, really. But how music was still, they still understood, English lyrics and still understood the music. So it was fascinating. It really made me understand bands like the Scorpions, for example. How back in the day, their music would sort of go off into, say, the Eastern countries where, they weren't allowed to have rock and roll, but they still be able to sort of hear this music and still connect. So it was a really fascinating experience.
I'm sure it's good for them now that they have the internet and all that, so that
absolutely, yeah.
So that they have they can still hook up with stuff like that. So let's do this. I definitely appreciate you spending some time, and I definitely want people to go out and check out your stuff, but I want to leave them wanting more, and I want more too, because I can't wait for the second book. But right now I'm going to turn it over to you. And this is what I call shameless plug time. When I turn it over to you, you can plug anything you want. You can shout out anybody you want. And after that, I won't take up any more of your time. But we have to do this again for sure, because a couple of your next releases I want to cover, the next book for sure, and we're definitely going to stay in touch. So I'll turn it over to you.
Okay.
Plug and shout out anybody you want.
Okay. Well, first of all, I want to say thank you to you, Fuzz, for having me on your show, and absolutely a pleasure and an honor to be on it. And look, people can sort of check out my website, which is just joematera.com. There's all my music's on there. There's information about me. Also, they want a complete sort of overview of my career in regards to my music journalism. They can find me on Wikipedia. I'm pretty easy to sort of access on social media. But yeah, look, check out my book, which is basically Backstage Pass, The Grit and the Glamour, available on Amazon, both all around the world, so in America, Europe, wherever you are. Check out my music on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon. And just, a shout out to all the rock fans out there who enjoy guitar-based music. I'm sure they will enjoy my music, and just check it out, and just feel free to sort of contact me, and
Make sure you guys are checking it out. Again, his name is Joe Matera. The book is Backstage Pass, The Grit and the Glamour. Go to Amazon and buy 2 of them. You just have to buy 2. The single is Inside Looking Out, as well as a lot of the other stuff from Joe. It's available. You can check it out on YouTube. It's youtube.com/Joe Matera. You can also go to like any digital platform. Sounds like the big ones, Amazon, Spotify, et cetera, et cetera. Find Joe Matera and grab some stuff off there. Buy whatever you can, guys. That's what I'm saying. Joe, it's definitely been a pleasure. Thank you for stopping by. I definitely appreciate it. And we got to do this again soon for sure, my friend.
You're on, mate. Thank you so much. And I really appreciate it. And all the best from the land down under, mate.
Much appreciated, sir. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Matera.
Flashpoint lit, too much pressure. Time to leave, need to run. In the dark of night, you said sail. Careful of the rocks on the shore. Follow the light, escape the danger.